October 25th.
We open on this guy, Dale, who has just moved into the house of an old horror movie actor who did his own makeup. Let's be honest, it's basically Lon Chaney.
Buried in a dank closet under years of forgotten junk, I found the proof I needed.
Anyway, a makeup box was left behind. Apparently he's planning on writing a biography about the guy.
A journey into the mind of the great, the immortal. Oh, Christine.
Wow.
This neighborhood gives me the creeps.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Anyway, his girlfriend wants him to move in with her, but he likes being there for the inspiration. He shows her the box and she's utterly unimpressed. Also, the Lon Chaney XP was named Fulton Pierce, and apparently very little is known about his personal life or even his death.
Who was the real Fulton Pierce? Ha 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 ha!
Gotta love horror nerds.
You're my inspiration.
Honey, with my inspiration, you can't even finish your PhD thesis. What makes you think you're gonna write a book?
You know, there are so many stories that involve a man with a vision who has a girlfriend or wife who gives zero fucks about it. I always wonder where these women come from and why they get involved with these guys who they apparently think are uninteresting losers. I mean, if you're not into his passion, fine, but why are you with him then? It's almost like these stories are written by men who think that women only exist to be obstacles.
This book is my future, Deborah, and Fulton Pierce is going to help me write it.
Literally, apparently. The next day, Dale goes to visit a lady who worked with Pierce to learn more about him and how he worked his magic.
I don't mean how he made himself look like the role. On the outside, I want to know how he became the role on the inside.
If I knew that kiddo, I'd know his secret.
I kind of like this lady. Anyway, all she knew was that he spent a lot of time looking in the mirror. Apparently there was some vampire role that he wanted to play, but he put it off for a long time.
Made him uneasy. Something about that role. Fulton Pierce could do things no actor before or since could do.
But whatever it was, it took its toll and he died young. Later on, Dale already has writer's block.
I mean, how do you describe magic? A reservoir of magic he could tap into whenever he needed to become someone else.
You could describe it like that. You don't have to be totally factual. You could get all poetic about it. People love that shit. He's about to open the box when... Oh great, it's the girlfriend again. Apparently he inadvertently stood her up.
I've been so wrapped up with the Pierce book right now, I just can't think of anything else.
Well, I see you're getting a lot done.
I'm, still in the research phase.
That's sort of true. Anyway, girlfriend tells him he's obsessed. At least now she's got a point. She's still kind of an asshole, though.
I mean, who cares?
When I get finished.
If you get finished.
Anyway, she gives him an ultimatum and inadvertently says something that gets his attention.
What did you say just before that?
Make up your mind.
That's the key. Somehow he learned how to make up his mind.
Interesting play on words there.
You brought me the inspiration I said you would.
Anyway, they manage to make up and she spends the night, and then wakes up to... this. Vampire in a top hat character approves.
This is how you do it.
At least she's got some sympathy now.
What's happening to you?
Until she looks at the typewriter. All work and no play makes Dale a dull boy. The next morning, he doesn't remember anything. She thinks he should get out of the house and forget about the book, but he's more inspired to keep going than ever.
I know how he became one of the greatest actors of all time. It's gonna make me famous. No more lectures to sniveling little rich kids who think Nightmare on Elm Street is a great film.
Oh no, you didn't. Yeah, I would have left too after that Nightmare on Elm Street crack. Later that night, more writer's block.
Pierce certainly understood the emotional chaos involved, and he was able to master it. Master it from the inside out. What if we all have that power? Would we have the will to control it?
And now, he's Quasimodo. And now he's getting strangled by a vampire in a top hat. Subtle. Girlfriend returns to find... I guess now he's been possessed by Pierce, or I guess more likely the thing from the mirror also possessed Pierce and that was his secret all along. I liked the concept for this episode, someone becoming slowly possessed in his descent into madness. And some of it was filmed well, but man, it just didn't play out well. I thought the girlfriend character was annoying, her acting was kind of flat, which didn't help, and the pacing is incredibly slow, which is why I kind of rushed through most of it. I kept waiting for something to happen to kick this episode in the butt, like when Charles Poole showed up in The Vampire Hunter, but it never quite happened, and the ending is just kind of abrupt and nonsensical. At least Vampire Hunter had Charles, and New York Honey was goofy, so it was at least entertaining, but this is the first episode to have almost nothing going for it. Though the makeup scene in the mirror's reflection was done really well, those characters looked neat. And the one I jokingly called Vampire in a Top Hat is clearly based on the character Lon Chaney played in the lost film London After Midnight, whose makeup is actually way more interesting. I know it's sorta goofy, but I find it creepy as fuck. This episode was actually based on a story by Robert Bloch. Dale was played by David Brisbane, who ended up as a regular on ER for a while. For what it's worth, I thought he did pretty well here with what he was given. I did like the bit with his little midnight freakout. It was directed by Jeffrey Wolf, who also did an episode of Tales from the Dark Side, and the screenplay was written by John Harrison, though he's credited differently here, who directed a couple of episodes of Tales from the Crypt, one of which was Easel Killia, which is one of my favorites. He also wrote a few episodes of Tales from the Crypt and a whole lot of episodes of Tales from the Dark Side. So that's about all I have to say about this one. Again, I promise the show gets better again soon. Since I didn't have a whole lot to say about the legacy, here's another episode. So this is, we'll just call him the Professor, and his daughter Lisa. They're waiting on her boyfriend Merrick to show up with some new discovery that he wanted to show to the Professor.
All right, Merrick, what is it this time?
This thing is gonna rewrite history.
You'll forgive me if I reserve judgment on that.
This object that he dug up is magnetic and he hasn't been able to open it, but due to where he found it, it's apparently 65 million years old.
You mean like some sort of alien artifact?
Or evidence of an intelligent life back then, technically as advanced as we are now.
The Professor doesn't seem to like this guy, but he helps him out only to prove him wrong. But they are unable to open it.
I'm not making a dent.
Also, the power is about ready to go out and it's snowing outside.
Batteries are dead.
We'll get another one from downstairs. We'll get a Geiger counter, too. Come on, Paul.
They all leave for a bit, and while they're gone, Merrick's assistant sees that the capsule has opened by itself, and it doesn't end well for her. Apparently her entire skeleton disappeared. A little later, the rest of them come back and see what happened.
Why don't suddenly take a look at that?
I know they were distracted by the capsule, but how do you miss that much blood on the wall?
What was that?
They hear the creature coming, so Merrick barricades the door and Lisa grabs a jar of acid. We see that it's some kind of weird dinosaur man.
Dad, I'm terrified.
And there goes the power. Meanwhile, Merrick has a theory about this creature.
So what if it's an intelligent race that evolved from dinosaur origins, you know, like some sort of pre-human civilization before whatever disaster happened?
You're saying that this is some sort of a time capsule?
So this thing had a wake-up call set millions of years ago. It's probably an isotope with a long half-life decay.
The Professor thinks that if the creature built the time capsule, then it must be intelligent. I mean, isn't it possible something else built it? But whatever. He wants to try communicating with it, which is always a good idea in a monster movie.
No, listen, we're scientists. We're not little creatures hiding from a thunder lizard. We've got to overcome our instincts.
Also, maybe that would have been a better idea if someone hadn't already thrown acid on it. Merrick knows this is a dumb idea, but the Professor goes off on his own to find it. Again, always a good idea.
I know you're an intelligent being. You must recognize me as one also. Wait.
And then there were two.
Why isn't it attacking us?
I don't know. Maybe it's not hungry now.
Yeah, it's full from eating your dad. Good one, Merrick. Real sensitive.
Could just understand its origins, then we could deal with this thing.
Dad tried to deal with it and he's dead.
Yeah, so you should not deal with it in any way. What?
You said this thing dates back from when the dinosaurs died. Well, what killed them?
Probably a meteor.
Nope, probably not.
We've got to figure out a way to kill this thing. It's got to have some kind of a weakness.
You literally just said that you shouldn't try to deal with it. What is up with this fucking dialogue?
The whole legend of the dragon goes back to the dawn of time.
Then there's this pointless bit about dragons that I think they only added to justify the title. Like we'd be too stupid to pick up on the fact that it was just being poetic. Duh, but it's a dinosaur, not a dragon.
Hey, wait a minute. Dinosaurs were cold-blooded, weren't they?
No, they weren't. So they're about to try to get out of the building.
Which way?
Yeah, away from the dinosaur thing. But of course they end up running into it anyway. For what it's worth, we do get a pretty cool shot of the monster here. They hide in this room, but it eventually breaks through the door. I'm kind of amused at how similar this is to the kitchen scene from Jurassic Park, despite this coming out 5 years before the movie and 2 years before the book. To be fair, everything reminds me of Jurassic Park. Merrick isn't able to hide in time, so he's screwed, but Lisa manages to distract it and... it gets almost instantly killed by the cold air. Lame.
What the hell happened? Man, it's freezing in here.
Not too smart, is he?
Oh my God.
And then they get a phone call.
You're right, that capsule was set at a specific time, and it wasn't the only one. 397 more at last count. All of them buried outside of Reno, and all of them hungry.
Yeah, but you know how to kill it, so what's the big deal? Yeah, this was another stinker. I did kind of like the monster at least, but whenever it wasn't around, things were kind of slow, and these characters weren't interesting enough to carry the episode. The monster's design was interesting. I kind of have mixed feelings about the oversized T-Rex looking face with the round head in the back. I think that was supposed to make it look more humanoid. We have a large brain, even if some of us don't act like it, and we need a bulbous cranium to house that, and I think they were trying to indicate that the creature was intelligent with that design choice, although there was nothing indicating that this creature was intelligent in the first place, other than them not knowing how the capsule was made, so there's maybe a missed opportunity there. I did think it looked kinda cool in the dark though, and its movements were properly dinosaur-like. In the 80s, there was a fossil curator named Dale A. Russell who had a thought experiment that if Stenonychosaurus hadn't become extinct, it might have evolved into a super intelligent humanoid, which most paleontologists don't really agree with, at least when it comes to how humanoid the design is. Either way, I wonder if that theory, or one of the similar ones people have thrown around, inspired this story. The professor was played by Russell Johnson, aka the professor from Gilligan's Island. His name was actually Jeffrey in this, but I couldn't resist just calling him the professor. Lisa was played by Beth Toussaint, who was a regular on Dallas, but I mostly know her as Tasha Yar's sister in that episode of Star Trek The Next Generation called Legacy. The writer was Michael Reeves, who has done a lot of good animated stuff like Gargoyles, Batman the Animated Series, Mask of the Phantasm, also Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Real Ghostbusters, and even an episode of Transformers Season 3. Going all the way back to the Smurfs and Super Friends. Well, there's a rabbit hole I didn't expect to go down in this video. I guess that's about all I have to say about this one. Both of these episodes were kind of a slog to get through, but this one is at least kind of funny with its badness. Though I really hate how easily the monster was killed. Dinosaurs weren't cold-blooded to begin with, but either way, I'm pretty sure that being cold-blooded doesn't mean that you drop dead after being exposed to cold air for 2 seconds. Next up is pool sharks. See you then.
Call the police!
Hello? The phone's dead.